Yeah, I mean, it wasn't an unexpected decision. The 25 basis point cut, that was more or less a given. But yes, we did keep an eye on the communication, and we will keep an eye on the press conference a bit later on, and it will be interesting. But I would say that this shift, adding one more rate cut to this fall, that was also more or less in line with expectations. We thought maybe they could take it one step further and say that there, is likely to be 3 flat. But they said 2 to 3 more, and that's not a big surprise.
We are watching dollar now improve versus the krona, so it's picked up by about 0.1% plus yens. So policy divergence, I think, is something the market is looking at very clearly here. If the Riksbank is seeing something that means a more aggressive pathway for rate cuts, what does it say about the Fed in this context? Because the market now thinks we're not going to get 50 basis points, and they're somewhat cautious after fairly hawkish commentary already from some of the Fed speakers this week.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that the Riksbank is certainly keeping an eye on. And they don't want to, I mean, they could certainly go ahead and make moves before the ECB or the Fed moves. And they did that by cutting already in May. But they don't want the rate spread to become too big or too wide. And they are keeping an eye on that. So I don't think if Fed continues on a sort of more hawkish stride, then the Riksbank can't move on at the full speed. So this is one of the balances that the Riksbank need to strike, and of course the krona and the currencies has a lot to do with that. We're only a year ago we had the sort of record low levels of the krona against the euro at 12, so they don't want to go back down that road.
Yeah, I was about to ask the very same question around how markets would probably be worried about a weak krona at this stage. But you also have those wage negotiations that are set to come up, and it may not be in this year, but it certainly can determine the path of how things fare then as we head into next year's rates decision as well. How key a driver could that be, Jens?
Yeah, I don't think they're particularly worried about that. I mean, the discipline in the Swedish sort of labor market in terms of wage increases has been very solid, and I do expect that to keep also in the next year. I mean, if we manage through the last couple of years with modest rate hike or wage hikes, I think we're going to get through next year as well. I think they're actually keeping an even closer eye on the European wage increases, because they are worryingly high, and I think if that will prevent the ECB from cutting, then that could also limit the number of cuts from the Riksbank. So it's all part of the same game, but I do expect that the Swedish wage negotiations will do fairly okay.